Hi everyone, and welcome to the 4-panel Literary Loitering Takeover. I'm Andrew, your host for both the shows, thus making things somewhat confusing. And I'm joined by Rob,
Hello.
who's also on both of the shows.
Yes.
But Mick, you aren't.
But I have been.
Oh no, you haven't you?
We didn't really think this through, did we?
No, don't blame us. It's all Graham's fault. It was his idea.
It's what the people expect.
So this is it's not so much 4-panel takes over literary loitering as literary loitering abandoned to 4-panel.
Yes, basically 4-panel kind of hides in the cupboard, eating the scraps, and when all the grown-ups are gone, we come out and mess around with all the things.
Yeah.
Just move all the furniture
I'm sure
around.
that sounded better in your head.
No, not really.
But then again, that is a tradition of literary loitering. It does sound better in your head, but when the words actually come out, it's just totally wrong.
Exactly. This works. And what else works is the fact that comics and literature are actually pretty interconnected. There's certainly a long history of comics being influenced by classic literature. For example, Green Arrow in the DC universe. You might have picked up on the subtle hints that he's based on Robin Hood.
Yeah.
No.
I know, it's
I missed that.
shocking.
Oh, the arrows! Oh, of course.
I mean, not just Green Arrow.
You're joking, you haven't even read the one comic where all of Star City got replaced by a gigantic forest.
But the thing is, it's not just Green Arrow. Superman is basically Hercules, or the old legends of Hercules. If you give him a club and like a fur robe, he would literally be Hercules. The black hair, the blue eyes. The heat vision is a reference to, in the old legends of Hercules, he had eyes of fire. So the heat vision's a direct reference to that.
If you basically look at superhero comics, they are the modern equivalent of the Greek myths.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Ironically, when DC did their crossover event, War of the Gods, you actually saw that directly because you had Flash racing Hermes and which one's the Roman equivalent? Mercury. So you had Hermes and Mercury in a fight, but then Flash turns up and it then becomes a race between three of them.
If Marvel did that, who would win between Mercury and Quicksilver?
Wait, I've got it. It would be a dead heat.
Absolutely.
But I think there was a reference to the Greek pantheon as well in the Justice League War cartoon at the end where Wonder Woman is saying it's nice to be part of a pantheon again. And then she's actually going through the members there and she says that Cyborg is basically Hephaestus, Flash is Hermes, Batman is Hades. So literally he's the only...
I guess he lives in a cave underground.
Yeah,
Some of these links I feel are somewhat a bit more tenuous than others.
Yeah, but I like that one because Hades is the only Greek god who's actually good at his job. If you think about it, he's the only one who basically just gets on with work.
The others do have a lot more fun, though.
True.
This is... See, I feel like you're channeling that BBC article you sent me about how superheroes were inspired by ancient myths.
Yes.
And it made some good points, and then was also like, Ant-Man, well, Zeus turned into an ant one time.
Yeah, that's kind of way off.
Yeah. Also, yes, it was to have sex with a lady, as all Zeus stories are about.
I mean, to be fair, that's why Ant-Man donned the ant suit in the movies.
Yeah, but why don't we have a Swan Man?
That's also true.
But why don't we have the other equivalents like the Swan Man, the Bull Man, the Gust of Wind Man?
Gust of Wind Man. I mean, that's a crap superhero right there, isn't it?
I've actually thinking about it in this.
Actually, you've got the Weather Wizard.
That's true. But also thinking for these parallels to work. So it's not just that Swan Man shrinks down to the size of a swan. He can also communicate with swans. And that's actually terrifying. Because swans are monsters.
Yeah.
But also limited use.
Well, I don't know. A swan can break a man's arm.
Yeah, I guess he's kind of limited to kind of lake and canal-based crimes.
Yeah. And has to move based on migration patterns.
Don't forget, you can stop him mid-crime using either a loaf of bread or just a photo, because swans are narcissistic as anything.
Now, hold on. Didn't we also have an idea about talking about literary
getting there, Mick.
Good.
It's called preamble.
I don't like preamble. I like to get to the guts of things.
Fine. So, blah, blah, blah. The Times theaters are taken wholesale, such as Dracula in the Marvel comics, but apparently we're not allowed to talk about that.
We can cut that bit.
No, I think we should talk about that bit.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I feel like I've never appreciated the fact that it's super weird that literary creation Dracula just hangs out in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
He has been in DC. Well, they've done Batman versus Dracula, haven't they?
They've done Batman versus Dracula.
Yeah, I feel like Dracula's kind of like an alternate universe DC thing. But
Yeah.
he's just there in the main Marvel universe, like he hangs out with the X-Men sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's that weird Universal Monster Club, isn't it? Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy,
monster.
Frankenstein's monster. They all hang out together. I mean,
Yeah, I also think it's very
that's the
within
weirdest
keeping
version.
of
That's
the
the
light tradition that you have called them the Universal Monsters Bunch, rather than say the classic Gothic literature bunch.
but
Or the Monster Squad.
But the thing is, in literature, they're all very separate entities. They're not linked in any way, shape, or form. It's only when the Universal films started coming out that they were suddenly banded together as like some sort of 1930s Goonies squad.
Which, ironically enough, I said Monster Squad. You remember that?
Yeah,
The film where they basically did Goonies versus monsters.
So it was some kind of all the monsters are shoved into one film,
Versus children.
like some kind of monster mash.
Yes, they did.
It was like a Gothic horror Avengers.
Yes.
Excellent. Which actually helpfully brings me on to the main point of, I feel like one group you've got to talk about with stuff like this is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
As long as we don't talk about the movie.
Oh, no, but I only ever want to talk about the movie.
Why? Is it therapy?
I feel like it's one of those things where I'd liked it as a kid, and then it's just, you kind of can't imagine when you go back and watch it, but this is so bad.
Is this what you do to prove to yourself that as a child you had no critical faculties?
Yes.
I'm quite literally the only good things from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen are Captain Nemo's mustache, Captain Nemo's car, and Captain Nemo's submarine.
Are you not a fan of CIA agent Tom Sawyer?
Who? Oh, you mean, look, I'm blonde American with a shotgun.
Yes.
It was a bad film.
It was a bad film. But it is a pretty good comic book. The conceit of which is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically this team created by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill of kind of classic Victorian era literature characters in like your sort of Justice League Avengers-esque team trying to save the world. So you've got like Alan Quatermain, who he's the main one I don't know. He's like some adventure.
He's
novel
basically
guy.
he's basically the blueprint for like an Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't he like 1910, 1920s?
Yeah, something like that. Is he H. Rider Haggard or
Something like that,
someone like that? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because you had him, you had Mina Murray, who was the Mina from Dracula. She's a vampire now.
Mm-hmm.
You had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Captain Nemo, and the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Who had some of the best scenes in the film.
Yeah, but not some of the best scenes
I
in the
get it.
comic. Not some of the best scenes in the comic.
No, he is a bad man in the comic.
Yeah. And I'm not going to talk about what Mr. Hyde did to him.
Anyway, the conceit of this episode is that through, I assume, some kind of Alan Moore blood magic ritual, we've wound up with the rights for League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. we are making our own expanded superhero universe of classic literary characters.
Yes.
Who do we include?
Don Quixote.
Yeah, that does work quite well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I've got a reason for this. I've been thinking this one through long and hard. That's not like me on 4-panel, is it?
No.
It is.
I thought I'd dress up a bit for Litloy.
See, I wondered why you were wearing the tuxedo.
So, I've thought about this. 1, Don Quixote, his initials make for a great belt logo like Deadpool's.
Yeah?
Oh, that's true.
Or a chest logo like Danger Mouse.
Because you could have the Q kind of going through the D. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right. And also, the tail for the Q could conceal some kind of secret weapon. Like a batarang, it'd be a Quixote.
Can you like tear it off and throw it like Superman's logo into Superman? Excellent.
See? Ready made. So the outfit's easy, right? He's got a sidekick, Sancho Panza,
Does indeed.
and he's got a weakness.
Oh, yeah. What's the
All you
weakness?
have to do is show him a picture of a windmill. Frozen.
But there's also an established thing which I think works with your idea of Don Quixote. Marvel already have a character who is as strong as he believes he is, which is Gladiator, which fits with Don Quixote because he believes he's a knight.
Yes.
So it works.
And of course, the fact that he believes he's a knight errant gives him his secret identity.
Yeah.
I thank you. Carry on.
I'm gonna applaud this.
See, I'm not, because you've made a critical error here, Mick.
What?
You've made us peak too early.
Yeah, but we can edit so that one comes last.
That's true. I mean, I'd say, but then the episode won't make any sense, but...
Hey, this is Little Lloyd.
Anyway, did we?
We're taking over literary loitering, so none of this makes sense.
Anyway, Rob, do you have any off the cuff?
Well, I did mention this before, taking Little Women and expanding the roster of Little Women to include more characters, because
Are you turning Little Women into Air Force?
Yeah, Little Women Force. I think it'd work.
Air Force, the early years.
I think it'd work, because one of the articles that I sent to Andrew, it referenced the character of Joe March as the Incredible Hulk. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, actually, it does kind of fit, weirdly. And She-Hulk is a member of Air Force. So, yeah, I think Little Women Force could be a thing.
See, Mick, this is more the kind of thing we need to start off with. It's ridiculously tenuous.
So a mate of a bloke somewhere wrote an article about this thing.
Yeah.
And what if Joe March was the Hulk?
Yeah.
Oh, also, I assume you're adding Janet Van Dyne to the team.
Yes.
Because she is the littlest woman.
Yes, she is. She is definitely on the team.
So, if that's what you've got off the cuff, we can move on to... I have a list here of 15 books. And I want you to...
That's all the books there are, isn't it?
Exactly, all of them.
Does that include collectible spoons of the Third Reich?
16 books.
What I licked before your face?
17 books. No, it turns out that the minor problem here is comic creators have also had the idea of, boy, we could put these book characters in our comic books.
Yes.
And so quite a lot of them have been done already.
Okay.
Gilgamesh is in Marvel Comics.
Yes, he is. He is.
I mean, where do you go when Gilgamesh has already been taken? And the answer is this list of 15 books. So I want you to give me a number between 1 and 15.
4.
Oh, Mick. You have chosen Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy.
What?
Oh, that's a great superhero name, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, it turns out the book is something about, like, some stonemason who wants to be a scholar and then his life gets all sad.
Ah.
But, I mean, you don't even need to reference the book. Just call him Jude the Obscure and do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. Jude the Obscure just hides in shadows. One of those stealth superheroes.
Or is he like the Predator? So it's just, he's not completely invisible, he's just obscured.
Or is it a play on words and he's actually sort of like some sort of Riddler character? Gives you clues that don't quite tell you where things are.
Oh, like the Clue Master.
Just sets cryptic crosswords for everything. I know he's probably got a magic rock. There you go. He's a stonemason. Boom. It's a perfect representation.
Yeah.
I can't find fault with this. The name's just thrown me completely.
I think it's your turn to pick a number.
I do like that both of you immediately honed in on the fact that, yes, I just chose this book because it's got a bad name.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 7.
7. Oh, Rob, you've actually chosen the good one. The Three Musketeers by Alexandre Dumas.
Thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, was it Aramis is the religious one who's pretty handy with a sword.
Yeah, Porthos is like the big guy.
Yeah, Porthos is the big, strong guy.
Yeah.
Played so well by Oliver Reed.
Yeah.
Who technically could have been just a superhero in his own right, I suppose. And Athos was the leader, wasn't he?
Yeah, I guess he was like kind of a
And again,
Captain France-esque character.
yeah,
Captain France.
And again, they've got a built-in sidekick with D'Artagnan.
Exactly.
You said you were going to sit there quietly.
He couldn't resist the D'Artagnan. But
I think we're not going to explain that and just assume we have some kind of ghost in the film who was obsessed with D'Artagnan.
Thanks for throwing that in, Jude.
I mean, I guess if we're going all out, we have to expand the team to also include Albert, the Fifth Musketeer.
I'm just trying to think, because the characters are there. It's just, we know Cardinal Richelieu is their arch nemesis from the books, but how would you make him into a supervillain? Because he's not really a Lex Luthor type, is he?
I think you could turn him into a Lex Luthor type.
He's more like Rao, isn't he? Those depictions, those crazy people who pretend that they're Rao and try and take on Superman and Supergirl.
Yeah, or maybe like a Brother Blood type character where it's got like a
Brother
cult
Blood.
or something.
Yeah, Brother Blood would be a good one. That would be a good one. And maybe make the church like the Hive sort of thing. Training supervillains.
Basically make it some kind of like exaggerated historical superhero thing.
Yeah. Right,
the more we're talking about this, the more I'm just going sideways towards Richard E. Grant as the Scarlet Pimpernel.
I was going to say, I feel like you could make some kind of like Dumas extended universe.
You could,
I
literally.
mean, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Count of Monte Cristo, the Man in the Iron Mask.
You could. The thing is,
Dumas characters extended universe, DCEU.
We've done it, we've cracked it.
This works. I mean, the Count of Monte Cristo, he's an escape artist extraordinaire, isn't he?
He is. I thought
no shackles can hold me.
I mean, I think he is also set like 100 or so years after the Three Musketeers, so there might be some time travel nonsense.
Maybe it's a descendant of the Count of Monte Cristo who inherited the family skills.
Yeah,
like son of Batman.
Yeah, ancestor.
Yeah, no descendant.
Is he 100 years after? Cristo, 100.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the 1800s. Okay, Musketeers is like 1700s.
Okay, so ancestor then, yeah.
Quasimodo's just immortal now because I say he is.
I've thought of one. I don't know whether it's on your list or not, though.
I mean, this is a break from the format, but I'll allow it.
Winston Smith from 1984.
He's a bit of a naff hero, though, isn't he?
He's a fighter against oppression. He rebels against anyone trying to... I mean, he fails, obviously.
Yeah.
But... And he's
so also his rebellion is firmly rooted in, I would like to make fun times with this sexy, sexy lady.
I know, but isn't that basically the sort of hinted at backstory of every Avenger and Black Widow?
Can I ask, is his superhero name Rebel?
Could be. And he's got a built-in weakness. Just show him a rat.
So are we pitching a character who could be defeated by the Batman villain Ratcatcher?
Yes.
Whose superpower is owning a bunch of rats?
Yes.
Sure, why not?
As long as we make sure he never ever comes up against Ratcatcher, we're sorted.
Except in like the final Winston. Yeah. Is his superhero name just Winston?
Yes. Rebel, go with that.
Okay, we're sure we don't want the big W.
No, Winston Smith is his daytime identity. By night he goes by Doublespeak.
That is quite a good code name.
Yeah.
Damn it, I have to allow it now.
I was going with Rebel because I was hoping the song reference would work.
We'll probably get sued for
this is
copyright.
not JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We can't just name them after songs.
All right, so that was a left field one. Are you allowed to choose from the list, given that you can see the list?
I feel like no. And also, I'm going to use my position as like showmaster to not have to put any of the work in.
Okay.
So give me a number.
I'm going to go double figures. I'm going to go 12.
Oh, you've made an interesting choice. Your book is Roald Dahl's James and the Giant Peach.
James uses the peach as some kind of travel capsule, or, because it could be a dimensional peach, or as a weapon.
Yeah, well, my thinking was, what is the peach if not an organic helicarrier?
Hang on, are you giving James one eye?
Yes. James Fury, Agent of Peach.
Actually, it does work because Madam Spider is the Black Widow.
Exactly.
Oh,
Anyway, Mick's having a mild breakdown now. So, Rob, would you like to pick another number?
15.
15. Oh no. You picked the end of list booby prize. It's The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's more of a Fing Fang Foom type villain, isn't it?
Well,
Don't you think?
Yeah, just some giant world-eating caterpillar.
Yeah.
yeah. Galactus.
Actually, I say that. Basically, DC did do a thing like that with Mr. Mind once.
Yeah. But, I mean, what if Galactus is basically the very hungry caterpillar? What if once he gets full, he basically retreats into his ship, and when he comes back, he comes out as Golden Galactus?
Or what if the Very Hungry Caterpillar is trying to eat the peach? This is it. This is our big intercompany crossover.
Okay.
Oh, what if the very hungry cat... Oh, left field, slightly left field, because Godzilla is part of the Marvel Universe, and I'm thinking, what if the world-eating caterpillar becomes Mothra?
Yes, but I will have to bring you up on that. He's not technically anymore.
Not technically anymore, but he was.
Do you know who is part of the Marvel Universe, though? American Kaiju. Real name, Todzilla.
Hang on.
Comics are the best sometimes.
Where did this come from?
I remember American Kaiju being a thing.
Because I just remember Kaiju Kid, who kept kept drawing all these weird animals.
Yeah, no, I think he was just in Avengers at some point. It was written by Al Ewing, which probably explains a lot.
See, you call him Todzilla, just like I'm just imagining a Godzilla type character, and Captain America and Iron Man turn up to fight him. He's like, "Yeah, bro, let's go surfing," because his name is Todd.
Number 1.
Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens.
Ah, I covered Olivia Twist.
I don't want to know. Just don't go
On
any
4
further.
panel.
And that is basically just superhero Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one's been done.
Easy peasy then.
So you list back down to 15 now. After we made those additions. All right. Seeing as that one's invalid, I'm going to go with number 3.
Oh. The Jeeves and Worcester series by P.G. Wodehouse.
I mean, didn't they do that as Batman and Robin in the 60s?
Sort of. Or even more specifically, the Green Hornet movie starring Seth Rogen.
Yes.
Also, I like that you had such a reaction to that, you slammed the table, causing my iPad to fall off.
I'm just trying to get the list over and done with it.
Fair
quickly.
enough.
If it means sabotaging your iPad, so be it. Other tablet devices are available.
The Batman and Robin one works, but Batman and Alfred.
Gotham, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I do just generally like this idea of the kind of slightly bumbling superhero and his hyper-competent sidekick.
It'd be like a cross between Batman and Alfred and The Tick and a butler.
Basically, yes.
Okay, I'm going to go with number 9.
Number 9. Oh, you're still avoiding the really bad choice. So number 9 is A Midsummer Night's Dream.
That's like an Image comic. That's going to be like a sort of I Hate Fairyland type thing, isn't it?
not quite, because there have been comics where Titania and Oberon have appeared in like the Marvel and the DC universe. I think they're characters like Dracula who just randomly get written into stories every now and then.
Yeah, but I mean, this is talking about the entire Midsummer Night's Dream
Yeah, I mean,
oeuvre.
forget your Oberon, Titanias and Pucks. They're easy.
Okay.
I want the continuing adventures of Bottom the Ass Man.
Well, I can't remember if he's in Books of Magic, but he might have been.
God, I hope so.
But that's kind of strange. That's sort of literary characters guest appearing in established comic. This is about seeding comics from literature.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Titania and
if you-
Oberon and that they're already appearing in comics.
Yeah,
or
but they're-
already have. So
Well, that's the
discounting
point.
them,
Appearing in is not the same as what we're doing here.
discounting them.
What if, other way round, Midsummer Night's Dream But the Queen of the Fairies is now Titania, the Hulk villain, who's just a lady in like a spiky leotard.
Puck is basically Impossible Man or Mr. whatever his name is.
Mr.
Mixelplitzik.
I don't know. I don't care.
I mean, somebody on Supergirl the show was evil getting the writers to write not one but 2 episodes featuring that character. And cursing 2 actors with the role as well.
Yeah.
God, that
Can you
poor
imagine how many
spell check.
takes? How many takes did it take?
11.
Oh, 11. He's done it. He's chosen the boobiest prize.
Well, he did choose the peach before.
He
so.
said boobies.
I did. But now, please, Mick, pitch me an ongoing superhero series based on Friedrich Nietzsche's The Spake Zarathustra.
I mean, we basically had it. It was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4.
I mean, I probably should have put more effort into learning what The Spake Zarathustra is actually about. So that I could-
Yes, I bluffed him.
Yes, the real prize here was you can say literally anything because I've got no idea what that book's about. It's just it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't know, something Ubermensch.
Mick's furiously typing, what is the Spake Zarathustra about?
I mean, there's probably Nazis in it, right? If you're going to have an Ubermensch, you got to have Nazi villains.
I'm going to tell you what it's about, and you two can give me the pitch for the superhero
Oh no,
comic.
he's flipped it around.
So, Thus Spake Zarathustra is a philosophical novel by German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, composed in 4 parts written between 1883 and 1885, and published between those years. Much of the work
Wow,
deals...
Mick, I can't believe you know this all off the top of your head.
Much of the work deals with ideas such as the eternal recurrence of the same, the parable on the death of God, the prophecy of the Ubermensch, all of which were first introduced in the gay science.
In the what?
You have 30 seconds and your time starts now.
Okay, so he's Zarathustra. He's some kind of like semi-religious prophet tasked by a dying god to save the world from the Fifth Reich and their new army of Ubermen from unleashing the eternal recurrence of the same and destroying the universe.
Is he a bit like Doctor Who in that it's a lonely quest that never ends?
No, because he's got his companion radical scientist, Heinz Beansman, and his powers of gay science. Admittedly, some of the names may need changing.
See, I thought you were going to go with the radical scientist, the cunning and radical scientist, the prince.
Joking aside, Thus Spake Zarathustra is one of Nietzsche's writings that gave rise to the idea of man and Superman. So
Yeah.
he's kind of being covered off.
Exactly. That was the entire point of me picking it, Nick. Obviously. Pick a number, Rob.
Number 8.
Lord of the Flies.
Oh, this is
Children as superheroes?
It's another ensemble one, isn't it?
It's another ensemble one.
It's Power Pack.
Well, not quite.
Well, no, I feel like what I'm pitching is just a new version of Swarm the Nazi made of bees. But this time it's flies.
See,
And around a conch, I guess?
yeah. It's technically kind of already been done. The New Avengers, I think they did a movie about the New Avengers where all the adult superheroes have been killed off, and so the kid superheroes were all in hiding, and they just had like Vision's robot head protecting them from Ultron. And so they were basically off just trying to train and stuff like that, but that was the closest I've seen Marvel come to any Lord of the Flies scenario.
Okay, but did they beat Ultron by just hitting him with a real big rock?
Basically, yeah. Well, they tricked Bruce Banner into becoming old Bruce Banner into becoming Hulk again, and he technically beat Ultron.
Close enough. Okay, Mick, would you like to give me one final number? Because I'm starting to forget which ones we've done and which ones we haven't.
5.
Okay, rounding us out. It's Black Beauty by Anna Sewell.
I mean, it's basically Black Knight without the night, isn't it?
It's Supergirl's horse.
It's the biggest hobo.
It's
I guess, yeah.
Just a horse that wanders from town to town solving problems.
And fighting crime
hang on,
with big kicks.
it goes and stomps its foot 3 times. Oh, Timmy's fallen down the well.
Maybe we can have some kind of tea.
Particularly troublesome, particularly elusive criminals can be brought down with some strategic use of dressage techniques.
But don't forget, its secret identity is as a model for a bank.
Secret identity.
It's got
Secret identity is that whoever's riding Black Beauty just gets a Sharpie out and fills in the white star on her forehead.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The secret identity is basically it's a model for an international bank.
Oh dear.
It's like the Scottish Widow from Scottish Widows.
I think we can break new ground, though, with, the touching and tender romance between Black Beauty and Beta Ray Bill. Anyway, I think we've probably inflicted the audience with enough of this shenanigans now.
Indeed.
So we're going to take a short break, and then maybe we can talk about some stuff what we've read with our eyes. Some of us might be able to, at least.
I mean, it depends how long a break we have.
Yeah, actually, that can be our new segment. Make reviews comics based on 3 seconds of flicking through them.
I'm Christopher Sabat, the voice of Roanoa Zorro, and you're listening to The Geek Show on thegeekshow.co.uk. What up?
Hello, do you like films? Well, wow, that's good. We're over the first hurdle. If you like films and you also like podcasts, you should probably check out the Geek Show's only dedicated movie podcast, Cinema Eclectica. Well staffed with a trained array of helper monkeys, we review all of the latest films every week and do it reasonably well.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage since you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode we take a look at video games based on comic properties and how well they stick to that source material. So whether you know the comics and want to know how all these games work, or you know the games and want to find out where all this craziness came from, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Hello and welcome back to the second part of the uncensored cheese dream that is 4-Panel Takes Over Literary Loitering.
Oh, I do like the BBC radio voice.
And now, we're going to review some stuff what we've read.
I have one question. I am very curious because we didn't cover everything on the list. I'm curious about what else was on the list now.
Okay, I will.
Just read them all out.
Okay, so number 1, we had Oliver Twist, which we covered. Number 2 was Little Women, which Rob, you preemptively did. 3 was Jeeves and Wooster, which we did. 4 was, of course, Jude the Obscure. 5 was Black Beauty. 6 we missed out. 6 was The Naked Lunch by William S. Burroughs.
I have never been happier to miss something out.
I never miss lunch.
So 7 was Three Musketeers. 8 was Lord of the Flies. 9 was Midsummer Night's Dream. 10. I'm slightly disappointed we didn't do 10. 10 was The Borrowers by Mary Norton.
Back to Ant-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ant-Man and Co.
Yeah.
11, The Spake the Zarathustra. 12, James and the Giant Peach. 13 was Heidi by Johanna Spyri.
Oh, God. How would you do a superhero version of Heidi?
But the sidekick's Peter the Goat Herd.
Is he the lonely goat herd from the Sound of Music?
Oh, actually, I'll skip ahead a little bit, because as we know, 15 was The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and 14 was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson.
Jesus. The 2 books on that list that I'm so glad we avoided. Naked Lunch and Fear and Loathing.
I did think it was cruel putting both of them on, but you managed to avoid them so well then.
I mean, Fear and Loathing, just the title, it gives you a sort of darker version of Cloak and Dagger.
No, I will say, though, Fear and Loathing has a great villain race, the Lounge Lizards. They could be a secret race in in DC or Marvel or Image or wherever universe.
You're starting to sound like a Scientologist now.
Anyway, speaking of dubious reading materials...
Why am I sitting here with my fingers on my temples after you said you're starting to sound like a Scientologist?
It's not the fingers on the temples that worry me, it's the tin hat.
So yeah, now is the part when we're going to be talking about just generally some stuff that we've read recently. Mick, obviously, you are in fact illiterate, so you haven't read anything.
That's true.
But he is going to work out who killed Kenny.
No, I'm not.
But Rob, have you done a readings with your iMobiles?
I did. I did a reading with my iMobiles. I read Symbiote Spider-Man, which, according to Comic Watch, is a blast. And this is... Well, let's start off with the culprits, shall we?
Of course, you do realise that's only an excerpt from a review. It could go on to say, id, disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to start off with the culprits. The culprits are Peter David, who wrote it, Greg Land, who did the artwork, Jay Leiston, who did the inks, Iban Coelho, who did the flashback sequence, with colours by Frank D'Amata and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. And this collects Symbiote Spider-Man 2019 numbers 1 to 5.
And I'm also guessing Mysterio's in it.
Yes, because you see Mysterio on the cover, larger than skyscrapers, so maybe that's an illusion.
So is this the Canadian version that you've had then?
I don't know, maybe it is.
If it's 2019
So,
or is it from an alternative 2019?
Possibly. It may be the Canadian version. Anyway, according to Comicverse, this is fast-paced, exciting, emotional, beautifully illustrated, and super well-researched. I agree with the super well-researched bit, because this story is about...
Oh, I've opened a can of worms, haven't I?
A cannock of worms.
This story is about what happened... it's basically set during the time when Peter Parker had the symbiote suit before anyone realized what it actually was and before it became Venom. And it's when Parker was dating Felicia, who was a black cat, and still hadn't become like proper supervillain type character. This is bizarre because it starts off with a fight between Spider-Man and Mysterio. Mysterio is on a heist, and someone accidentally gets killed, and Mysterio doesn't want anyone actually to die, but he's frustrated because the person who was doing the heist with him is the person who gets killed. And Spider-Man's angry and getting angrier as he goes along because of the symbiote suit. And he's not understanding that this is a separate entity. It's not something that he really should be messing with. Meanwhile, Kingpin wants to know why Spider-Man has suddenly become more powerful and more of a thorn in his side. So he gets Mysterio to jump on board, try and figure out where Spider-Man's got these extra abilities from. So they somehow find out that Felicia is Spider-Man's girlfriend and that she is the Black Cat. Get her to take a piece of the symbiote suit. Then she basically kind of falls out of the story a little bit before coming back later on. I
assume what happens is she catches sight of herself in a mirror and goes, oh no, this is a Greg Land comic.
Yeah.
And it sort of dies out the window.
See, this is the thing.
To pound away on the rooftops, I mean, not. I realised there was a way of reading that's a lot darker.
See, this is one of the things, right? I understand the idea. Spider-Man has to fight a character in this called Hard Rock. The poker face basically says it all. Who's hired by Mysterio to beat up Spider-Man, but who ends up getting killed by the symbiote costume while Spider-Man is conveniently unconscious. And that's not the first time the symbiote suit takes over and does things. But this is the thing. I understand that people might want to tell more stories of this time when Peter Parker had the symbiote suit, more adventures of Spider-Man while he was, a symbiote Spider-Man. But that period of time was actually quite short in Marvel history, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it was that long. It was like a few years, maybe, if that.
Because I always imagined the actual time period that he had the symbiote suit wasn't a few years, it was just a few months.
Oh, so I feel like it's
like half
tricky,
a year at most.
Because you have to kind of try and remember what was the symbiote suit and what was the other black suit that looked like the symbiote suit but was just like made of spandex or whatever.
I thought the time period that he had the symbiote suit, in Marvel timeline, I thought it was something like 6 months at most. He wasn't overly affected by the symbiote in the same way that Flash Thompson was.
I think it might have been, because it was like 85 was Secret Wars. And then it was maybe kind of 86-ish when that happened.
Yeah.
So it probably wasn't that long.
But that's the thing. You're trying to cram a bunch of stories into a very short time period when Spider-Man already has a bunch of stories that fit into that time period.
Yeah, I also feel like it's a complete arc, isn't it? Spider-Man gets costume.
Yeah.
Begins behaving like more erratically, realizes, oh no, it's an alien, it's doing bad things to me, mind brain bits.
Exactly.
I'm going to punch a church.
That was a complete storyline all the way through. And even though this is really well researched, it's adding extra onto something that doesn't need extra. It's like if somebody came along and said, while they were traveling to Mordor, this is also what the Fellowship of the Ring got up to. The stuff that you didn't read in the book.
Yeah, and it was just even more Frodo going, I don't know if I like this ring business.
Yeah, exactly.
It does not sound like it's offering anything new.
That's the thing, it isn't. I would much rather they put their efforts towards more new content. I mean, we've had a delivery, we've got some interesting stuff delivered. I'd rather they focus on developing new heroes, especially the Asian superheroes, because I'd like to see more Asian representation in Marvel. And more ethnic superheroes, more BME superheroes would be a nice addition. More alien superheroes coming from off-world.
Yeah, I mean, just introduce Greg Land to a whole new world of pornography that he can trace from.
Maybe not use Greg Land.
What, are you saying that comics should just not hire the man whose artwork is very clearly traced from adult films?
Yes.
What a novel idea.
Because, there are certain images in this that are very clearly taken from...
Do we have Land face?
No, we have Land pause. Mick's gonna put his glasses on for it.
Well, partly because it's mainly in silhouette because you're right in front of a window.
And it's the black cat. And, tentacles. So many tentacles. So anyway, Symbiote Spider-Man. I'll be honest, between that and Superior Spider-Man is so much better.
So
the name kind of gives that away, really.
So I've been reading a few things.
Also, I just want to add, go read Venom instead.
Because Venom
Gonna
get him.
So I've been getting into a series called Jack Staff by Paul Grist, which is actually something that Mick, I think specifically you would quite like. So it's kind of, like Black Hammer, where it's kind of this world full of superheroes who are all kind of Marvel and DC superheroes, but like with the numbers filed off.
Yeah.
Imagine that, but like it's all old British comic strip characters.
All right.
Ooh. Yeah, this sounds good.
Yeah.
It is. It focuses on Jack Staff, who is actually kind of a reworked version of Marvel's Union Jack character.
Right.
So he is Britain's greatest hero, or so he likes to claim.
Hold on. I thought that was Captain Britain.
Shh, no, not in the world of Jack Staff.
I'm sorry, but I thought Roy of the Rovers was Britain's greatest hero.
Billy the Fish.
So Jack Staff, he protects the city of Castleton, and it's...
I mean, I've been through Castleton. It's not a city. I mean, it's basically a village shop.
Well, I guess this is Castle Town. But it's like, you pronounce it Castleton, don't you?
Are we back to the argument about how to pronounce Todmorden?
Todmorden.
Exactly.
There's no argument.
Yeah, but it's cool because it's done in the way of like an old British anthology book, except there'll be like kind of one central story, but it'll keep like changing perspectives from different characters. So like Jack Staff will be fighting a supervillain, but then Becky Burdock, vampire reporter.
You missed out the word plucky there, I'll wager.
I mean, I thought the pluckiness went without saying. But she'll kind of like intersect it on her way to go and see some of my personal favourites, Bramble and Son, who are vampire hunters, but only by night.
Hang on.
Characters from Steptoe.
Yes, they are Steptoe and Son, but vampire hunters.
Wait. You have a vampire reporter going to see vampire hunters?
Yeah, it's a bit tense.
Awkward.
But it's just this really fun, because very quickly you can start reading it and get into this idea of it being like this big living and breathing world with like lots of separate parts that all interact with each other.
Right.
Like it's always neat that like you'll meet a character who just seems like a side character, only then a few pages later like you'll find, oh no, they've got their entire storyline going on. Like just in the police department there's like this one random lieutenant guy called Zipper Nolan. Oh, also everyone has the most ridiculously amazing names.
Zipper Nolan.
And then he spins out into this whole like kind of, can't remember who he is, but basically like he has adventures where, you know, he goes into Dreamland and teams up with all different characters like Mr. Balloons and the Plate and the Spoon. Except now he's like a 30-year-old police guy. And Mr. Balloons is helping him catch murderers.
Andrew, are you on that medication again?
Yes, but Paul Grist clearly isn't.
Oh, this sounds amazing, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It is. And then to round things off, I've only been reading a blooming actual book.
No.
Well, sort of. Technically, and by reading, I mean listening to.
Okay.
So I've been using a service called Serial Box, which is an app you can get where basically you buy a book and then kind of each chapter of the book is released weekly, kind of like an old newspaper serial.
All right.
And what I've been reading, to make this relevant to this show as well, is Thor Metal Gods, which is a officially licensed Marvel book about Thor.
Right.
When you say metal gods, we're not talking like heavy metal.
Yes, we are actually.
Really?
Yeah, this is about Thor going into space, teaming up with Harangi, who is a Korean god who turns into a giant tiger that's on fire.
Yep.
She's rad, I like her. And a bunch of space pirates to stop an evil rock and roll star who's been possessed by like a Lovecraftian monster crown.
Because comics.
And books.
And books.
But just make this a comic. Then we can all enjoy the artwork, because this sounds amazing as a comic.
I mean, it's pretty amazing as a book. Also, it's kind of harder to listen to a comic as an audiobook.
It is.
This is true.
But yeah, and that's written by, because it's written by kind of a team of people, so they can kind of rotate around every few chapters, including Aaron Stewart Arn, Brian Keane, Ewan Harley, and Jay Editon of the podcast Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men. And that's how I intersected with it.
And do they actually explain the X-Men, or do they just spend an hour going, look, we're as confused as you are?
Both.
Because I'm pretty sure that you would need a degree in like really advanced quantum physics or mathematics or whatever to understand the X-Men timeline.
I mean, I just don't try anymore. I mean, even if you just focus on one X-Man. Jane Grey, for example.
No, you chose the worst one.
So not focusing on the X-Man.
No, because I tried that once. Isn't that focusing on the X-Man squared?
Just no, don't.
Like, you can't maybe consider X-Men and maths. That's too much.
If X-Man equals 4 and Y-Man equals 8,
But why is the
where
last
is the
man?
mouse when it spins?
But why is the last man? You'd have to include his pet monkey in the equation.
Right, so let's properly geek this out. If X-Man equals 4 and
Yeah.
Y-Man equals 8 and Kyle XY is the square root of X-Man, what's for T?
Are we talking about which X-Man are we talking about? We're talking about Nathan Summers, who was born to Cyclops and Jean Grey's clone, but then got a scary computer virus and had to go to the future and then came back. Or are we talking about that version? It was actually a clone of Cyclops and Jean from an alternate reality that then went through a magic crystal and came into our reality. Or another version of the first one, but he comes from earlier in the time stream, so he's only a teenager, but then he killed the other Nathan, and now he's kind of in his place.
I think we need.
I like the way that when you're explaining that, your hands seem to be doing some sort of freaky mime of Incy Wincy Spider.
It's actually a form of comic. It's actually a form of comic book martial arts.
I mean, I think what I was doing was just making the sign of X-Men to ward off continuity.
I think we'd need to establish some sort of group function to establish which X-Man it is.
Yeah. Next week on Comic Book Calculus.
Which is a great name for a podcast, I'll be honest.
How many multiples can I multiply before I multiply? Well, man multiplies multiple men. My brain hurts now. We're ending the podcast. Goodbye, everyone.
Yes. So, if you want more of this sort of thing, then you can find our podcast on any good podcast provider. It's catching.
I mean, the good news is that this Takeover episode is being recorded on the 29th of February.
Exactly. It'll be 4 years before we do another.
It'll be 28 years before we can get together again on the 29th of February.
Hang on, are we ending this like the beginning of Macbeth? When shall we three meet again?
Hubble bubble, there will be trouble.
Good luck. Against the odds, we've actually finished on a literary reference.
So, yeah. If you want more episodes of 4Panel like this, then you can find them on any good podcast provider, or you can find them on our website, geekshow.co.
On a point of order, this wasn't an episode of 4Panel.
4Panel takes over literary loitering.
Yeah, well, I think he means if people want to listen to more of this sort of thing.
If you want to listen to more of this inane bickering.
Yeah, you'll also find episodes of Literary Loitering on our website and on all good podcast providers as well. So, yeah, I'm done. My brain hurts. Andrew.
You can find us on social media at The Geek Show on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as well, I think.
Yes.
So, give us a follow, give us a like. Why not leave us a review for this episode? Tell us what you liked, tell us what you didn't. And until next time, I've been Andrew.
I've been Rob.
And I've been Mick.
So long and thanks for listening.